Hi, and welcome to the third episode of Mary Sue Game. We've got a great episode for you today. Not only is it the Battle of Doctor Who, but the Battle of the Beards. Alright, and welcome back. So let's go ahead and introduce our competitors. We have Pocky.
Yo.
And Blaze.
Hello.
You see what I mean when I said Battle of the Beards? And they'll be competing in Battle Doctor Who. So let's go ahead and quickly go over the rules again. You'll have 5 minutes to add a random trope to the Mary Sue fanfiction that you have created of yourself. You'll be judged on adherence to canon, personal life details, originality, and overused tropes. Okay? Can I go ahead and get the tropes? Okay, and the trope that you have to add is broken up. 2 of your characters within your fanfiction have to be broken up.
Ooh, the drama. I'm excited.
So let me go ahead. I will start your 5 minutes, starting now. And while they go ahead and go over that, let's talk a little bit about Doctor Who, for those who might not know what it is.
Like me.
For once, Lauren is actually our expert on this subject.
I have never had that word associated with my name before in my life. And I'm really excited.
Good job,
Okay,
Lauren.
so Doctor Who is basically, it's considered one of the longest episodic TV shows in history. It apparently ran for 50 years. I say apparently because it was off air for 12. That doesn't count, guys. But it's about an alien, the Doctor. No one knows his actual name. His name is not Who. Let's get that straight. And he flies around in not only is it a spaceship, but it is also a time machine. It is the blue police box, which actually isn't supposed to look like a police box. I'm also an expert on Doctor Who, apparently.
Yeah, it has the chameleon circuit, right?
It's stuck.
Yeah, it's stuck.
So he travels around. He gets various companions who join him on his travels. He's the last of his kind.
So it's kind of like a monster of the week. There are a lot of times there's mysteries to solve or action that needs to be done. I don't know.
What are some tropes that you expect to be in this?
I definitely want it to kind of feel like a kind of episodic thing, like a monster of the week. I want there to be something that they have to fight and get done, because that's kind of iconic of Doctor Who, I guess. That's what it's about.
Monster of the Week feature.
Mm-hmm.
I see time travel taking place as clearly, and so seeing a lot of time travel shenanigans gonna happen, maybe.
Almost rewriting history, definitely.
Also, there has to be a companion, and I assume at least one of them is going to make themselves the companion.
That's
but, exploring the relationship between that, having a relationship. I hope that they're dating the Doctor, I guess is what I want.
Well, there's a broken up trope that they have to include.
Yeah,
so
how
I
do you
can
think
imagine.
they're-
Break up, yeah.
How do you think that's going to play a factor in? Do you think it's going to completely rewrite the fan fictions that they came in with?
I don't know. From experience, they're not going to rewrite everything, but I think it's definitely going to put a little wrench in it, and hopefully they use it, because I think the best stories are always the ones that, really embrace the trope that they're given.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And even with something like that broken up is such a character-driven trope.
Mm-hmm.
It really changes the personal dynamics between the characters.
Mm-hmm. Especially because there's so many different ways to have a breakup. You could either still be friends and have the awkward tension, or you could have we hate each other now and we don't want to speak to each other, but we have to work together in order to solve this issue. Mm-hmm. There could be a lot of different ways you could take.
We want to get back together, but no, we can't.
One of them's in a relationship.
Ooh. Izzy, what's something that you expect to see?
Ooh, I don't know. See, usually I can predict, but I don't know these guys particularly well. I would see maybe, like, since they're just given the breaking up trope now, it would depend on whether their stories started out as particularly character driven, or if they were, like, primarily driven by, like, action or, like you said, the monster of the week stuff. So I think if it was character driven, maybe, like, you'd expect to see a lot of changes, but if it was more based on action, it might just be, like, the dynamic between
the characters.
Between the two characters might slightly shift.
Something also interesting about Doctor Who is because it has been on television for so long, we have very distinct eras. Like, the Doctor has been played by 13 different people.
At this point,
13
20,
or 14,
actually.
20.
20. Literally,
20.
there are 20 actors who have played the
So,
Doctor.
20.
It's a really easy show to just, like, break up between this is the canon of this era. Because also, the writers have changed so many times. When you go from, like, season 4 to season 5, those are almost completely different shows. So I think there's going to be a lot of different room to embrace this Mary Sue. And we'll see very two distinct fan fictions.
I want to know, is anyone going to do a crossover? Because, you know, Super Hulock is very, very popular.
Yeah.
I
You heard that?
You'll definitely get points for overused tropes
If Super Hulock
in
is
that
a thing.
sec. Yeah, but I think that might be a lot.
Okay. And that is 5 minutes. All right. And how would you like your time signals?
Just, like, or just whatever, however you want.
Okay. You're going to get 2 down.
All right.
Fist at Grace.
The Doctor was trapped inside a wooden coffin. The Daleks knew for a fact that the sonic screwdriver would be useless against it. He was trapped, uncertain how to get out. His newest companion, Chris, a southern boy he found during their explorations to find out what happened during the Alamo, led him to get Chris. But Sarah Jane wasn't happy about this. After all, she had already known Chris from previous experience as a photographer that they tried to date once and broke it off due to Chris killing one of her favorite characters in a D&D campaign that she ran with him. But the Doctor didn't need to worry about that right now. Right now, he needed to figure out how to get out before the oxygen supply ran out and he was to perish. Then he heard a gigantic thud, another thud, a third thud, and the coffin lid ran open. There was Chris, his gigantic man-beard flowing before him, his eyes adjusting to the light. Chris gave him a hand. Doctor, we must hurry. The Dalek's newest device seems to be working. I don't know. It's making weird noises. The Doctor stops for a second, eats a jelly belly, and goes, The atomic destabilizer. The Daleks' newest plan was to simply unhinge the universe, remove the very particles that held all atoms together, destroying all life, except for, of course, the Daleks, the master race as they saw themselves. The Doctor and Chris ran through the corridors, trying to get to the prison escape hatches to let out all the test subjects of the experiment, including Sarah Jane. Chris himself knew that meeting Sarah Jane again would be awkward. After all, their breakup was led to him killing her favorite character, and as a GM, that sort of things happen, and he doesn't mean to. They get to the hatch. Various people from around the United States, or the world, was kept captured there, and they needed to be set free. As they escaped to the escape pods to let them out, Chris saw Sarah Jane and said hi. She looked at Chris with a disdain in her eye, but realized that he was a good person. As they made their way through the Daleks' mothership to get to the machines that would end all life on the universe, they get to it, guarded by several Daleks. The Doctor distracts some of them by running himself, telling Sarah she knows what to do. Chris looks at Sarah. You know what to do? She goes, I then wait for the Doctor, and he shows up and he does something at the last minute while we hit random buttons. Chris goes, that sounds really cliched. She goes, I know. As they make their way through a maze of what seems like weird wires and stuff that was found at a garage sale that Chris assumes was part of a larger master plan, they find the master control device, a series of computer knobs and switches that looks like something from an 80s TV series that Chris used to love. As they say, the Master Dalek shows up. Right behind him is the Doctor, bound in chains. He looks a little disheveled. Chris, knowing what to do, he goes, Doctor, do you know how to turn this off? He goes, yes. Chris, knowing the only way to do anything, from his huge southern heritage, runs to the Master Dalek, grabs him, and says, "This is the power of the beard!" And then, out of amazement, from all Daleks, the Sarah Jane and the Doctor, Chris body slams the Master Dalek into oblivion. The Doctor quickly runs over, turns the machine off, sets the machine to explode, the mothership to explode. They escape. Chris wishes to go back home, for obviously it's Sunday night, and Chris has a D&D game to run. He misses the Doctor and decides to run some adventures throughout his life with his of Doctor.
Alright, and Blaze, how would you like your time signals?
1 down and Grace, please.
Okay. We're such debate nerds. Go.
So, our story starts with a 14-year-old boy with a giant, luxurious, flowing beard named Aaron Scott. But this isn't his actual name. In fact, his real name is the Flame. And the Flame is the 200-year-old son of Rose and the Doctor, and is therefore half human and half Time Lord. But because the Doctor knew how dangerous it would be to have a child that could be exploited and used against him, he used a biodata module in the TARDIS's chameleon arch to take away nearly all of his memories and place him in a normal school in Austin, Texas, and gave him this fake name of Aaron Scott. Since coming to this school, he has made friends with Robin, Amanda, Lauren, and Izzy. He's not entirely sure why he gets along best with girls rather than boys, but he feels as though girls make better companions. Not in a sexual way, mind you, but just as friends. Unfortunately, Robin and Lauren had a tryst that fell through within the last week. The Flame is upset by this recent turn, but he imagines that they will get back together soon. Robin and Lauren were meant for each other after all. The Flame starts noticing weird things happening at school. All the teachers and some of his classmates keep wearing Apple earpods and never seem to take them off. They also speak in an unnatural cadence, as though they were robots or something. How weird. But it doesn't hit home until Amanda starts acting weird too. Earpods and everything. But the Flame wasn't interested in Apple products. He was always an Android man himself. The Flame's dreams are racked with disturbing images of a blue police box, a robot dog, and a man who looks like an older version of him. So he begins drawing these images in his notebook. His companions gawk at the hyperrealism presented in his 5-minute sketches. How can he spend such little time on pencil and paper and create such masterpieces? No one will ever know. He goes to... As soon as Amanda notices these sketches, her eyes glaze over and stare at the Flame. She begins to chant, "Delete, delete." She lunges for his throat, and he takes the notebook and hits her in the head. She's knocked across the room, and one of the earpods falls out. As Amanda runs away, the Flame takes the earpod and departs into solitude. He goes to a classroom of one of his favorite teachers, Miss Jones. The Flame explains everything that he has seen up to this point to her, and she nods knowingly. When he finishes, she reaches into her desk and retrieves a Pebble smartwatch. The Flame vaguely remembers that he owned a watch just like that, but the memory seems so distant to him, and he's not sure if it was even his to begin with. But she presses a button upon the side, and it begins to glow with a vibrant golden hue. At once, the Flame remembers everything. His 200 years of history with his father and mother and everything that he learned in that time. And he recognizes this favorite teacher of his as Martha Jones. She's been hiding at the school since she heard about the strange goings-on, despite the fact she knows the Doctor's son was here. The Doctor is away on other Time Lord business, so it's just Martha and the Flame against this new threat. But suddenly, Amanda storms in, continuing to chant, "Delete, delete." It's clear she still has one earpod in, but the Flame has the other. He says to Martha to distract Amanda, so she does without questioning why this apparent 14-year-old is barking orders at her. Using his Time Lord knowledge and technical skill, he dashes about the room, fashioning together random bits and bobs of school supplies until he holds in his hand a makeshift sonic screwdriver. He uses it on the earpod, and Amanda immediately falls to the floor, unconscious, but otherwise unharmed, because the Flame, just like his father, does not kill innocents. After a few minutes, Amanda wakes up and tells the Flame and Martha that she knows who is behind the weird happenings. It's the Cybermen. They have slowly begun taking over the populace of the Flame's high school because they knew the unusually high average test scores of the student body. But then the Flame realized that the only reason why was because he got a 3,000 on his SAT scores, which brought up the school's average. The school was in danger, all because of the Flame. Shaking past the guilt he felt, he knows he has to do something. He runs to the other squad members and hands each of them a makeshift sonic screwdriver since he has made 5 more while he was running. Robin and Lauren, fearful for attempting to save the day alone, teamed up despite their emotional hang-ups. They run around the school with amazing stamina, using the Flame's makeshift sonic screwdriver to reverse the cybermenning process on all the teachers and students. As the Flame fixes the last person, Cybermen descend upon the school. They begin to attack students and teachers alike. And as the battle turns in favor of the invaders, the Flame points a sonic screwdriver into the sky and activates its time and space homing beacon function, which it's always had since the beginning. Don't question it. As suddenly, the angelic grinding noise of the TARDIS engines echo across the sky, and a blue police box, just like the ones in Flame's dream, streaks across the sky. It lands directly next to the Flame, and out steps the Doctor with an oddly shaped electronic device. What is that? The Flame asks his father. The Doctor explains. It is a dimensional wormhole generator. It activates tachyon particles in the Cybermen and attracts them towards a fifth dimensional gateway, which gets rid of the Cybermen, leaving the humans unharmed. What an incredible, convenient invention you made, Dad, the Flame exclaims. He quickly grabs the device from the Doctor and begins fiddling with the settings. And with that, the Flame pushes the big red button and all of the Cybermen suddenly disappear. The crowd cheers, whoops, and hollers with cries of, "Thank you, the Flame!" And as the rejoices subsides, Martha boards the TARDIS. The Doctor extends his hand to the Flame, inviting him in. "No thanks," he says. "I want to stay here with my friends, defending this school from alien threats." The Doctor nods approvingly. "If you ever need me, you know how to find me."
Thank you, Blaze. That was awesome. And Pocky, yours was amazing too. Blaze, you do not get extra points for squad inclusions. Sorry. But can we just talk
I'm
about...
about to say that if that was true, I would have and thankfully we saved some girls writing fan fiction.
But can we just talk about a 14-year-old having that beard? Okay, so I think both competitors gave great fan fictions.
Definitely.
100%.
100% great fan fictions. Let's go ahead, Amanda. Let's critique Pocky's.
I don't know, I really enjoyed yours. I felt like I was in an episode of Doctor Who, even though I've only seen a few that I've blocked out of memory. I really like the D&D inclusion you kept bringing back in. That
Yes.
just was a really great personal life detail to add. It was just really good. I was really enjoying just kind of listening to your story and just focusing on that. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Lauren.
Yeah, I agree. You did a lot of the oh, you are the center of the universe and you save the day, which is or Chris.
And we had the main character of the normal show in peril.
Yeah, and it was pretty good. I like that you had one of the companions. You had a lot of mentions of canon, and the D&D mention was cool. And obviously the beard power.
The power of the beard!
The power of the beard.
Izzy?
Yeah, I guess one of the things that I most liked about yours was the small little details you added, he eats a Jelly Belly now. He has his Southern heritage that informs what Chris does. And I guess I also really liked that you kind of called out that what I must assume happens a lot during the show of hit random buttons and then it fixes everything, and then kind of subverted that trope by not actually doing that and just ending it with a body slam.
All right. And now, Amanda, what did you like about Blaze's fanfiction?
You also did a really good job, I think, bringing out the essence of Mary Sue. You had a lot of the overused tropes like the amnesia and the wise teacher actually being somebody important. And a lot of I magically made this and it magically works, and you know what, we don't explain anything.
Children of the main important characters.
Yep. And then the Lauren and Robin being broken up, that was nice touch.
Yeah, I love the weird nonsense science and the retconning. I actually put that under adherence to canon. Yeah, and then I was actually on the way over, I was like, I really hope Blaze's character is named Flame. And so you delivered that to me. So that was pretty good. Yeah, you had a lot of, it was very kind of cheesy and very Mary Sue, self-insert. You had fun writing that.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really liked all the squad inclusion, even though unfortunately that's not a thing you can get points for, but it definitely added a lot of flavor to your story. Robin and Lauren teaming up despite their emotional hang-ups. I liked very much like the cliche at the end where the entire crowd actually cheers. Like there's somehow a crowd materialized and cheered at the end, and how Doctor Who offered you, for you to come with him, and you're like, no, I'm going to save the students. So, very good.
I think you both did a really good job of capturing the essence of Mary Sue.
Yeah, definitely.
And the
Definitely.
shows themselves.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Have y'all picked a winner? Go ahead and vote.
We'll vote. Yeah.
And while they do that, I will bring you two on up here. Okay, and let's tally the votes.
Ellie's here.
Okay, thank you. And the winner is Blaze.
Thank you very much. It was a good match.
Awesome. Good one.
Yes.
And you are now the new Mary Sue champion. How does that make you feel?
It feels wonderful. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to Pocky. Thank you to all of you viewers at home. I could not have done this without each and every one of you.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Mary Sue. Come back next time and we'll have another great episode.